Protesters in Toronto toppled a statue honoring a man linked to the deaths of thousands of Indigenous children. The statue is in the likeness of Egerton Ryerson, and until recently, it stood outside Ryerson University in Toronto. Ryerson created Canada's residential school system. The schools were intended to assimilate Indigenous children by force, to separate them from their families and cut their ties to their own cultures. They were a tool of so-called ethnic cleansing. There were over 100 schools, and they operated for over 150 years.
We were made to feel ugly because we were told we were ugly. We were made to feel like we were nothing but dirt, and that has remained with me to this very, very day. I've never felt that I was good enough for anything.
The whole point was to erase their Indigenous identities. These Indian residential schools have often been compared to prisons.
We were never allowed to speak our languages in there because of fear of punishment. So those of us that were little were absolutely terrified.
The schools have come under renewed scrutiny after a horrifying recent discovery: the remains of 215 Indigenous children buried on the grounds of a former school in British Columbia.
Indigenous communities and families have been saying these things for decades, often not notified of deaths. Their children never return home, unable to get any sorts of answers.
Canada's National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation estimates at least 4,000 Indigenous children died at the schools. The true number may be several thousand greater. Many of the residential schools were affiliated with the Catholic Church. Pope Francis recently expressed pain over the children's deaths, but did not apologize or acknowledge the Church's role. Sounds meant to heal, as Indigenous communities in Canada struggle with the revelations and demand action.
We're gathered here today at Gravity Park to honor our survival, to honor the 215 children that were found, and we're here to do a healing ceremony.
The Canadian government formally apologized for the schools in 2008. Now, Indigenous groups are calling on the Canadian government to do more to honor the lives lost and to repair the damage done to communities over so many years. This is Inside Edition Digital.